Hi everybody, this is Irene Strakowski again, and today I am presenting a video of myself drawing a panel for a comic I recently made as a promotional piece, I guess, for an indie video game called Hanako, which more about the game, including a demo, I think can be found at hanakogame.com. That's Hanako, like the Japanese name. If you guys would like to check it out, it's a very cool game. So today I will walk you through the entire process of the pencils and shading this panel. I didn't record the underdrawing I did, but you can see it lightly under there. I didn't think to record the thumbnail part of this page, and I'm also not inking it. I'm trying a slightly different style than before for this. I wanted to go for a more painterly, lighter feel that wasn't necessarily like traditional comics. I used the pencil tool in Manga Studio extensively for this whole comic strip, and I used a lot of patterning and textural brushes for the shading, which you'll be able to see later on. So kind of a different process. I think it's very interesting. The last video I posted was of a page I did for Shaman Child, which is my webcomic, which, by the way, you can find at shamanchildcomic.com. Haha. That was much more of a traditional comics approach. Solid inks, kind of light gradients, or just plain cel-shaded black and white shading, I guess. How else do I say it? But not really as textural or painterly. I'm trying to go for a painterly look in today's piece. So a bit more about what's happening. This comic is basically detailing the lore behind the game. Lore as in L-O-R-E, the backstory. And in this panel, so basically the game is about two warring samurai clans, the Hanako clan and the Yamai clan. And the Yamai is more or less the crazy, violent bad guys of the story. They are trying to take over the capital. They want power. They want to take control of the country. And they want to overthrow the emperor, basically. The Hanako clan have sided with the emperor. They're trying to protect the emperor, and they don't so much want power as they want unification through peace. So they are against the Yamai. And in previous few panels, I detailed the Yamai kind of wreaking destruction all over the land, making their way to the capital, which at this time was Kyoto. This takes place in the Sengoku period, which is like 1500s or 1600s Japan. So the capital at that time was still Kyoto. And so they're killing their way, the Yamai are killing their way to Kyoto, and in the panel just above this one, you might be able to see the emperor and empress have committed seppuku, which is suicide, to prevent the Yamai from taking them hostage, basically. Because they know Kyoto has been burned down, they know they've lost this fight. But the Hanako have not completely, they haven't lost all of their cards, I guess. Because the two boys in this panel are the emperor's two sons, and he charged the Hanako clan with keeping his sons safe and raising them. So this dude that's kind of instructing the boys here is the Hanako daimyo, which is the leader of the samurai clan, and he's basically raising them and teaching them the ways of the Hanako clan. This is supposed to be like a really pretty outdoor scene in the Hanako's home village, beautiful sakura tree in the background, rolling mountains, peaceful scene, away from all the carnage. and the boys are growing up and learning the ways of being a samurai. So that is the basic premise of what I'm going for here. So it's very sunny, very happy scene. I'm keeping my lines in the foreground a little darker and thicker. Just because I'm using a pencil tool doesn't mean, you know, those rules kind of go out the window. I'm still putting more weight on my pencil lines that are closer to the viewer because, again, there's the whole perspective trick that you can use when doing line work. That is sort of similar to how painters, or when you're doing a fully painted image, you would use atmospheric perspective and lighten up the coloring the further back an object is to create the illusion of depth and to sort of, well, trick the viewer into seeing the object as being further away. But that's the way, you know, real world works, because the further away it is, the less focused we are. There's more mist, there's, you know, clouds, there's just more distance and particles between you and, you know, say a mountain far off in distance. So anyone who has a little bit of observation skills would have noticed that faraway mountains will look really blue. Even if they're really green mountains, it'll be like a blue-green color or gray. So that's sort of the idea that I'm getting at. And later when I get to the background, you'll be able to see all the lines that I use for mountains are very slight. It's like a 2-pixel brush. It's like extremely tiny. So don't be afraid to vary up your line work a bit, you know, if you're working purely or primarily in lines. If you're worried about things looking too thick or crude, you know, you can keep the outer lines of an object thick, but everything within that object, like the faces or the clothes on these people, are a lot thinner. So that's also a good technique. So I guess a little bit about the equipment that I'm using. I am working on a Cintiq Companion, the first generation. There's like a Companion 2 out now, but I have the one that came out last year, which is like the 13-inch. I think the new one is 13.3 inches, so it's slightly bigger, which I haven't tried, but I don't really know if it makes a huge difference. I do really like my Companion. It's pretty much all I use. It's a pretty good machine. It doesn't lag a lot. It gets a little hot sometimes, but that's probably because I run huge PSD files with like 60 layers. All in all, I never have a lot of trouble working with it at all. I really like the matte texture that comes on the screen. The screen isn't like, if you've ever used the large Cintiqs, like 21-inch or 224-inch, you know, the big desktop ones that are just a monitor, like their surface is very shiny. There's like a little displacement, I think, and it's hard for a lot of people to adjust. But the Companions come with this sort of matte surface, makes it feel a lot like paper when you're drawing on the surface. So I kind of really like that. On a pretty good, a computer with pretty good performance. I don't know if I would do 3D or animation on it, but for just drawing and handling painting or comic work, it's pretty great. Can't wait till I get to the actual shading part, because that's what's exciting about this. Right now I'm just noodling around and adding in details and redrawing leaves over and over again, because that tree has to be perfect. So Manga Studio has these this really cool pattern brush that it comes with. I forgot what exactly you saw. Oh my god, I don't even know what it's called, but I'll highlight it on the screen in the video so everyone can see what it's called, and I'll like write what it is, because I can't remember right now. But it's this really cool function that it comes with, and you'll see me in a minute kind of stamping patterns onto some of the selections I make. Oh, also, making selections. This is like the bane of my existence, but hey, this is what like 30% of every image is, actually. So, fun stuff, yay. Gotta do all the grunt work. This is what, if you hear a comic colorist complaining about flatting, this is basically it. It pays off though. What I'm doing here now, by the way, is instead of kind of meticulously filling in all the areas with one color. I'm masking it out. I'm using the mask tool. I'm just kind of filling. I'm making a selection for the area that I know is going to be the same shade or same color, and I'm putting a mask over so I can sort of stamp or do whatever and color or shade however I want in that area. It's sort of like masking out an area with tape if you've worked with watercolors. It's the same concept. So, and that's sort of the way a lot of comic artists work. I know a lot of painters don't use masks that much. It's not really as common in concept art. But for comics or something that's so specific and works with line art a lot, it's pretty common way to work. So those patterns that are on the daimyo's trousers, vesting, I don't know what it's called. That's just a pattern brush that comes with Manga Studio. And if you look at their materials library, they have a really extensive list of different things that you can use and sort of make patterns out of it. And that kind of cross-hatching pattern that's on the older boy's shirt, that's also a pattern brush. And you've probably seen people use this a lot. It's getting a lot of people who use Manga Studio to do their work. You'll see the same like hatch patterns, which is fine. It's really convenient. I really appreciate it. It's just like using screen tones, honestly. So, and it's not, I don't think it's a cheat. Like, they have some things like, oh, pearls or trees. It's like, I can draw my own trees. But I really appreciate the fact that they have certain brushes like hatches or like simple floral patterns. Like, I don't use the materials that come with Manga Studio so much for, say, replacing something that I draw. Like, I never just stamp it on and say, hey, that's part of my image, I drew that tree. I sort of use it as patterns and like a simple way to, you know, if I need something really repeatable. Oh, if you saw the if you see the Empress's robes in the panel above, that's also a pattern. So I'm really happy with that function that they gave us. If you see the gold collar that's on the boys and the Emperor and Empress, that's sort of a storytelling device that I used. I think that worked out pretty well. I'll scroll through the final comic at the end of this video so everyone can see, but that's sort of an identifier to let the reader know that they're all the same family, because this comic is going to be in black and white. It'll be some like sort of old texturing on the end, but it's a black and white comic, and that's just a storytelling device that I decided to employ here. So what I'm doing here is I decided to add in some petals in the foreground last minute, obviously. And what happened was, after I finished drawing everything that I had planned to draw, I realized that the image was feeling too static. And while it's a peaceful scene, I didn't want it to feel like it was becoming too lifeless. So anything that can add depth or motion to an image, especially adding depth to an outdoors shot that has something, you know, really far away, that's always good. Anything that you can shove in the foreground to make those mountains look further away, it's excellent. So, depth and perspective, yeah! Yay, it's done! If you would like to see more of my work, you can find me at reniedraws.com. That's RENIEDRAWS.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or DeviantArt, all at reniedraws. I pretty much have the same username across everything. If you would like to find out more about the game that I made today's piece for, you can check that out at hanakogame.com. That's HANAKOGAME.com. Check it out, it's a really cool game. I hope you enjoyed this video, I hope it was informative, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.